Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. This is actually a really special video because it's not just me sitting here on my own. I'm actually joined by three amazing hackers. So recently Bugcrowd ran an event called Hacker Showdown Carnival of Chaos, where they invited teams of hackers to compete against each other for the best hackers on the platform. So it's similar to a live hacking event, but virtually. So today I am joined by the winners of that event. We have Sweet Light, we have bsysop, and we have Diego here, who have come to talk about their process for hacking, how they collaborate, how they met each other, and hopefully give you some advice if you're trying to, say, meet new hacker friends, if you're trying to actually form a team, and actually just general bug hunting advice. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's really exciting to sit down and talk to you for definitely the first time and not the third time that we're doing this. So let's just go around the room, mention who you are, where you're from, and what your favorite VRT category is.
Hi everyone. So I'm Diego, also known as Godiego in most Bounty platforms. And I'm Spanish. I live in Lisbon. And normally I like to hunt for secrets exposed in public assets. That would be my favorite BRT, I would say.
Sweet. I know that secrets is a bit of a controversial one. A lot of people find they argue a bit with triagers on that one and how critical their secrets are. So that's a really interesting favorite bug category.
Hi everybody, I'm Paolo or Sweetlight. I'm from Italy, now living in Lisbon as well. I don't have a single favorite VRT category, but if I had to pick one, I would probably pick like out bypass, which can often be like critical.
Yeah, for sure. I
Lot
think
of
that's
them
often
issues.
like when I worked at Bugcrowd, that was people's first P1 as well, was like auth bypasses or like account takeovers. I think that's a really common kind of entry level into that kind of more impactful hacking, where you've got scrubs like me who stick to doors and XSS.
This is grew up in Spain and actually living in Brazil. My priority, I like to escalate things, so I will say SSRF, but of course we like to get the critical, so probably remote command execution.
I think that's like really common when I speak, especially with teams, that oftentimes one of the real benefits of teams is that ability to escalate bugs using somebody else's findings or somebody else's like skills and experience. And I think that's something that, the real advantage of being in a team is just having that kind of back and forth developing and not just stopping at one, but going onwards. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Do you want to just summarize how the Carnival of Chaos went for you in maybe a few sentences? How did it go for your team? How did things go? Did you have a good time? What kind of vulnerabilities did you find? And how does it feel to be the winners?
But being the winners feels great. I'll say it was very challenging as well. Honestly, to the last moment, we had no idea if we were going to win or not. We were super close to the score and the second team. So to the last moment, we tried to report as many things as possible. And eventually we won, but it was a very close call.
Yeah, was it like, were you rushing around trying to get those last bugs and just get stuff submitted before it finished?
Yeah, many hours of work and stuff.
I guess it's a really different experience because obviously all of you don't just hack in a team, you also hack individually. I assume that this kind of not just competitive, but adding that kind of team element makes it a lot more difficult. Do you feel like you thrive off that chaotic energy, or did you feel quite stressed?
So you definitely need to be good at collaborating. I would say that I actually work quite a lot with other people. I think I'm more bounties overall with collaborations than like just me alone. So like over time you get better like collaborating what works for using like Slack or a different app. And also like we have worked before together and we found that we really work well together. And you really need like the right people in a team, people that you trust, which is like key. Overall, we really enjoy doing this together. We found a way to make it work.
Thinking about collaboration, it would be great to hear a little bit about how did you guys meet? How did you actually start hacking together? Was it something where you all knew each other beforehand? Were you specifically looking for collaborators, or were you already friends and developed from there?
We meet thanks to Bad Bounty. So we start individually. I first met Sweetalai in Slack, probably Like we start talking about random things and sharing tips. And then later we meet Godiego and we had a live hacker event together in Tokyo. After that, we found we can do this together. We have a match, let's say like that. We can complement each other. We understand the point about we are talking about. It makes sense to have more impact and more vulnerabilities.
So do you guys collaborate outside of events, or is it primarily just in events and that's when you all come together?
Let's say we do more forced task during events, like working a lot. But of course, we are friends and we do a lot of things together.
I think that's really important because I think people, when they're looking for collaborators and they're looking to upskill and start to develop those hacking friendships, I think people forget about the friendship part, that you can't just be just collaborators. You also have to like each other as well. And there has to be more than just hacking there. Like it does have to be the odd meme that gets shared, the kind of back and forth, the talking outside of hacking events. But I guess hacking events focus you in on a single goal and you're all pushing at the same time. So speaking of collaboration, how does that work for your team? What do all of you do? Does one person do the recon, the other person does the exploitation? Do you have specific bug, like VRT categories that you all search for? Are you just sharing endpoints with each other and just bouncing ideas off? What's your kind of role in the team?
In our team, it's quite interesting because we all do different kind of hackings, I would say. So we have, for instance, Paolo. He like finds super amazing leads. And he's like constantly sharing us, hey, this app looks like broken. Check this endpoint. Check this specific quirk that is happening here. It's super interesting. And then he feeds that to all the team. And we stop what we do and then we check those leads. So I would say that's his role. Then we have Guillermo and I. Guillermo's more like versatile. He can just find leads and then exploit things. And then I'm more like the manual guy that just goes around checking the leads, checking the applications more manually, which is funny because like normally I do automation, but it's for I'm like bipolar. Like in live hacking events, I turn into like completely manual hunter, and it's as if I didn't do any automation at all.
I think that's because live hacking events require different skills and it's better suited to manual hackers? Or do you think it's maybe just the, say, more limited time maybe that you've just got to get something? You're not necessarily having the time to go through and edit scripts or really go deep into automation.
No, 100%. Because like when you do automation, you basically have, I don't know, millions of targets. You can just like spray and then pray, but like hopefully more like spray, but like with head. And otherwise, when you are like in a live hacking event, the target scope is usually reduced. So it means you cannot like so much focus on low hanging fruit. You need to go deep and find stuff that normally people wouldn't find. And that's usually where you have better payouts, and better success, basically.
Do you think it requires a good hacker should probably have both skills then and you can switch between manual mode and automated mode?
Not necessarily. I think both approaches are good. If you want to make good income via automation, I think that's very possible. And that's what I normally do as well. And you can also do full bug bounties, manual mode. There's many hackers I know who even don't have a BPS and they just do great. And then they go to events, they crash it. And I think both approaches are valid and they complement each other.
I think it's interesting about hacking because I think for every hacker, they have their unique way of approaching targets. And that's probably why they're successful because they do have a different way. They can, say, be flexible when they need to be flexible, but maybe be quite rigid when they have to be rigid. What about you, Sweetlight? What's your kind of role in the team? And obviously, you're sending leads. How are you finding leads?
I'll say that really depends on the application. But first of all, okay, this time I send leads, but as Diego said, we are very flexible. So really, whatever we need to win, we need to do to win, we'll do. But yeah, like finding leads. Honestly, there is not. I don't have a secret sauce that's not like publicly available. It's like a lot of darky with back machine. It's like a mix of all those tools. Sometimes you just sort of need to know where to look and what to look for. It's not about having a special tool or like a special trick, which can also be good. It's like necessary most of the times. For specifically, you also need to know which programs you have to focus on since it's like a point-based event. So of course, there are like programs with a bigger scope, smaller scope, programs that are more responsive, programs that tend to duplicate similar issues more often. So like all these things combined, yeah, you really need a lot of experience. It's not the first time we did it. So like time over time, yeah, you get better and improve.
There's a certain amount of strategy to it then of like how you choose to spend your time.
Definitely. And it's not very close to a normal live hacking event, I would say. Yeah, of course you can do both, but it needs a slightly different strategy, I believe.
Yeah. I think it's interesting the idea that you all have to be flexible and adapt, because I think so many people focus a lot on being, I'm going to learn a ton about recon and be the recon person. And that's what I'm going to do. And I think that especially when you start looking for doing events or being in more competitive, looking for those larger bounties, it pays off somewhat to be a bit of a generalist.
Yeah, this is something I've always been thinking about. I think both ways can work, at least from what I've seen. Like I've seen people that were very specific on a single issue, and then they just farm that issue programs and they made a lot of money, as well as people that were just good enough at most things and still made a lot of money. Maybe in this specific event, it's better, as you say, to be a bit generalist, since you really need more points to win. So like
Yeah, a lot of it is more about points.
if you miss easy bugs, that's bad. I have to have like some experience with all bug types, I think.
Like they play like a hybrid role. Of course, we try to find vulnerabilities, but sometimes you need, let's say, we had competition in the past. The first one of this competition, like in 2020, we are at team of 5, and we had 3 manual hackers in the team. So mostly they don't do recon, they don't use recon tools, etc. So we had to play the role of supporter. This is a bit painful because you have to, the time you have to hack, you have to do recon, and someone will find the criticals and not you, but that's the game. You have to lower your ego and play as a team. So sometimes you have to understand the game is like that. And sometimes in some teams, they try to big egos everywhere. They try to be rock stars, and we don't play like that. Like, for example, one of the best bugs we had, it was a remote command execution, and that bug was a lead from Fitline. He had the knowledge about this target, about the application, and he knows there is a vulnerability. He gave to us, he sent in the Telegram chat. I was able to find the entry point to say, okay, this is really a function injection. And then Godiego found the command injection. So escalation in a team like that. It's not the first time we did something like a collaboration in 3 steps, right? So it works, but you need to have with the people, and people that don't want only to be the rock star and want to really do a.
This kind of leads on very nicely to my next question, which is how do you meet team members? Because obviously you guys have got it down at this point, right? Like you all know how to work together, you all know how to complement each other's skill sets. But if you're just getting started with collaboration, what do you actually look for in a collaborator? What would be somebody that you go, oh, hey, I'd love to collaborate with them? Do you want to start, Diego?
Yeah, sure. I would say this is a tricky question because normally in Twitter and Slack and Discord, normally everyone tells you like, oh yeah, just find someone random from Slack or from Discord and like collaborate with them. And I would say at some point that works, like if you're starting and stuff, but once you like get into making money and stuff, I would say that then it's a bit more tricky because you need to like actually trust the person because like you're sharing methodologies with them, you're sharing like tricks, you're sharing tips. So in my case, I normally first meet people in person, either through live hacking events or conferences or I don't know, random meetups. And then just then I normally start collaborating with them because I just don't feel comfortable sharing things with people that I just don't know, and I don't know how they are. I don't know their values, so I don't know whether I can trust them or not. So from my point of view, like it's important to know someone you can trust and also someone that you can have fun with. Because like normally when you're hacking, you maybe you spend hacking 70% of the time, and then 30% is just random memes in a channel. And oh guys, check this. Starlink is there's a new launch from Starlink, or I don't know, just random things. So yeah, you need to actually be similar.
Yeah, it's that friendship and trust. It's that friendship and trust comes first, and then you can collaborate with people. It's not so much that random collaboration works, especially at this level where the kind of money we're talking about is enough for somebody to potentially steal a bug and take that. Have any of you had really bad experiences with collaboration before?
Yeah, I've had a couple. But yeah, that's why I'm saying they need to have the same values as you so that they wouldn't just prefer taking some amount of money over having a good friend. I would just prefer having a friend and just making more money. Because at some point, it's more valuable to have a friend and you just live better.
Yeah. So, what would you say? Obviously, we talked a bit about bug bashes, life hacking events versus these kind of virtual events like the Carnival of Chaos, but you'll hack individually as well for the most part. How do those three different mindsets to how you approach hacking, what kind of vulnerabilities you look for, or just how your methodology changes?
It's because most of the times also do some research, right? Like we try to find new vulnerabilities or escalate some stuff or take one vulnerability and make it better and find variations and stuff like that. So during the year, I know these guys also do a lot of research. We have few research published. And during life hacker events, in my case, I eat, sleep, and I hack. It's only that. So it's totally different. And especially because you are going to the life hacking event in few days, right? So you need something. It's not only, again, people think about money. It's not about money. Of course, we use money as a metric for success and have a good life hacking event, but it's not about having the money. It's a
Yeah.
bit weird to say because after you get the money, at least in my case, I do nothing with that. Okay, it's there. Don't change nothing, right? The difference is your mindset. You are like a crazy guy trying to hack everything and finding new ways. And it's crazy because in that moment, you have new ideas that you normally don't have.
You're in a very different time zone as well, being in Brazil. Do you find that is quite difficult too?
Maybe sometimes, but I see is good sometimes too, because we are in different time zones and sometimes the guys are sleeping. We have a report. The other needs something. I can,
Yeah. You're
yeah.
taking the
So,
night shift. Or
yeah, some companies have people in the same team, 3 or 4 time zones because of that. Blue teams and ours, we are the opposite, so doing the same.
that's Bugcrowd's triage team as well. They have people, they follow the sun. So there is always a triager awake.
We often do research over the year, and honestly, we also fall into like random rabbit holes that are totally useless in terms of like money. Sometimes we just try to do things that you find interesting, but don't necessarily make. But like during events like this, I used to say that you usually feel like you're being like employed to some extent. Like you actually have to put the hours in. You don't feel the same pressure when you're like just randomly hacking. Sometimes you just don't want to work and you don't work. Bug bounty lifestyle for the better, for the worse. Yeah, like when there is an event, you really need to run and try your best because like the more work that you put in, the more chances you have to really get a good result.
And it's not just
So,
you either. You owe it to your team to
yeah.
also.
Yeah, also
out there.
that's a very important part. Like you really feel bad if you don't do something. And sometimes you can end up in a team where like people don't work as hard as you. So that's why, as we said before, you really need to like have a good team with people that you know that are gonna put the effort that you can keep, I believe.
Yeah. And finally, Diego, how does your kind of live hacking bug bash differ from one of these virtual events versus your regular everyday? You said that you are more of an automation person, but what other things are a little bit different?
Yeah, so I would say like my year is marked into like different seasons based on life hacking events and just conferences and stuff. So I've had the normal season, which is like more chill and no events, no nothing. I can just like work on automation and research. Just like I wake up, I go through results, and then I don't know, I just work on something that I'm developing or just inspect this new lead and something like that. It's very relaxed. And obviously, I can just work whenever I want, like not that many hours. And then when a live hacking event comes, it's like full on just wake up, have breakfast, start working, have lunch, maybe just go to the gym because I need to just clear my mind for a couple of hours and then just go back to work because it's a grind. And that's what makes it worth it because like you spend a lot of time, but then you get the results in and it's very nice. But yeah, I would say that's also very important because like for us in our team, we all have the same mentality of we want to do a good job and we want to actually put the hours in. And it's important that people in the team have the same mentality and the same objective, not just, oh, I'm going to participate, I'm going to just find a couple of mediums and that's it. So I would say those are the two different life stages for me, just casual, more chill, and then life hacking event. And then after life hacking event, I need to just relax, take some time off, and then just go back to automation slowly and just chilling.
Yeah, I feel that. Live hacking events are a lot. I don't think people realize as well how intense they actually are because it's not just the 2 or 3 days you're there, it's like the 2 or 3 weeks beforehand. And then on the day, you're like sitting there refreshing reports constantly. Updates. Oh, I got paid a bounty. Oh, my name's on the screen. Updates F5F constantly for like hours. So
No,
obviously,
no, also, I want to mention, like, people don't understand that feeling until they actually go into an event. Because I have this very good friend of mine, and when I had an event, he would be like, "Oh, do you want to just go for a drink or go for dinner and stuff?" And I would be like, "Oh, I can't. I've got like life hacking event. I'm on life hacking event mode. I need to work." And he was like, "But dude, it's Friday night. Let's do something." I was like, "No, I actually can. Like, I need to work." And then he got invited to an event and he was like, dude, now I feel you. I feel the stress. I feel the tension. I feel like I need to put in a lot of hours. And I was like, yes, that's how it works.
I think as well, a lot of the platforms like Bugcrowd will do social events during live hacking events. And I always feel really bad because they put a lot of effort in. And the entire time, I think everyone is sitting there being like, oh my God, I can't be here. I should be hacking. I should be grateful for the experience. I should be hacking though. I need to get back. I'm going to just bring my laptop. So often at the social events, you just see people crowding around laptops, just trying to get a few more hours of hacking out.
Yeah, thankfully, those are after the work is done. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, I've had events like that where they did it the day before the event. So the social event was one day before the actual event. And some people didn't actually come to the social part and they stayed hacking. And then those of us that went, we were like, maybe we should have stayed, maybe we shouldn't have. But then it depends again on what your objective is of the event.
Yeah.
If you want to socialize, if you are like happy with the work you've done. So yeah, there is like for everyone.
So obviously during this event, you found a ton of vulnerabilities because, you know, you guys won and you won on points. So you found a lot. I think you touched on it, but do you want to talk more about what you consider to be like your coolest finding, your best finding, the one that you are super proud about, and really like how you all contributed to that and how you all shared it, just in a little bit more detail.
Yeah,
You are
so just unmute myself every time. So the coolest bug, I believe, we can all describe it a little bit, but I found the endpoint, which I knew was like really broken. But of course, like I just spam the chat. I send like multiple leads. They don't even have time to check them all, and they are not all as good. So like I sent it after a while. I think Guillermo checked it. We had previous reports on this thing that were fixed.
The point about what Paulo say is he's saying a lot of leads. The quantity is huge. So sometimes I need 2 or 3 days to check all of them, but I swear I check all of them. So we had this broken application and it was weird because it was super old, like 10, 15 years old or something. And we found a really weird function injection. So we can inject code function, but at the beginning it don't looks like that, right? So it looks like bad behavior of the servers giving an error, and then you have to understand why this error is happening. And finally, I found it was the code itself of the application, so I can put some function.
Yeah, so we have this function injection, which, by the way, I don't know how Guillermo found. It's nothing that I had seen beforehand. Honestly, if you Google that, you won't find any reference whatsoever to it. So it was like very weird. So we just start poking at it with the documentation, and it was very interesting because you could see that the functions were being evaluated, but there were some nuances and some assumptions that we couldn't get to exploit it with them. So for instance, there was one where it was like we were able to list directories, but we realized that we had to convert them to a string before because the functions were returning arrays and that would return an error. So it's just like that. We just had to like chain that, and with like different heuristics, we finally managed to like list directories, read files, leak credentials, leak everything, and then it was just like game over. But it was a very interesting bug because you could see like the different steps that each one like made the bug to go further. So it was like very nice. I would say it's one of our best bugs.
Sounds like great collaboration with Sweetlight grabbing the endpoint, bsysop going in there and finding the function injection, and you coming in and actually pulling together the full POC. It seems like there's a lot of almost borrowing other people's brains in that. It's less about it's almost like less about skills per se and more about utilizing everybody's creativity.
It's also super fun because at that point you can see via the conversation in Telegram, you can just see the bug evolving. It's at first, oh, there's this lead. And then you can see, oh, guys, there is a function injection. And then, oh, guys, we can see which directory we're in. And then it's, oh, but we can list directories. And then just two people at once, oh, I managed to list directory. And then we'll go, oh, shit, there's like the whole file in there. And then it's just, oh, yeah, just the three of us just listing random files and reading the contents and just being like, oh, creds here, creds there. Oh, yeah, there's this backup file with ton of things, like, and it's just like super interesting.
So speaking of the Telegram group, what does that look like? How are you guys handling the pressure? Is it sounds quite chaotic. It sounds very chaotic, creative, kind of brain dumpy. Do you guys tend to have that more chaotic approach? Do you sometimes have a more organized approach? Is it very calm, or is it a bit kind of panicky, or is it just fun?
So it's funny because, sorry, sometimes these guys they work until late. Paolo and I are in the same time zone, but normally I go to sleep quite early in comparison. I'm usually in bed by like midnight and 1 a.m. tops. So for me, normally when I wake up, there's like maybe 60, 70 messages. And then there's at the end, Paolo being like, lead, like maybe 20, 30 URLs. And so I just wake up in the morning and then I go through things like slowly until the guys wake up and they can tell you their point of view.
In the past, we used like Slack in a very organized way. We like groups, but it was a bigger team. This time, I guess we didn't bother. We just have a big Telegram chat, which is very messy with like brain dumps, as you said. I'm not sure if it's the best way, but I'll say the search on Telegram works very well, I think. And we also just pin the messages. So we have 70 pins and you go through all of them. And like sometimes I even ping the guys again. I tag them, like, check this lead again. I bet you didn't check it because I know I spam them. So like I go back and I check the leads that I'm more confident on. And then I start tagging, writing with letters. Check this. I spam them a lot.
That actually happened that once. He sent a lead and then I wake up in the morning, I just go through the leads. And that one, there were like 2 leads in one. So I just checked the first one, assuming that the second one was the same. And then just he pinged me again. And then it was actually a bug. So that was quite interesting. Yeah, no, 100% it does. And also in the comparison regarding Slack against Telegram, when we use Slack, like, guys, I couldn't find the things. You were like, oh yeah, I posted it in Slack. And then I just had to go through the different channels and I could never find stuff. But now I would say Telegram is messier, but like easier, I would say. I don't know.
I guess you've all become intimately familiar with Telegram's search functionality at this point.
In the past, we did something like the guys, and we had channels for everything, like potential leads, we had reports, bugs, recon, so different channels. And also we had different rooms. Let's say I will do a collab with Godiego, only working in a specific bug. So we go to run one, Sweetlight and Mother Bar. In that way, you can have more organization. I will say that's a great idea for long terms if you are working in something like for a few months. But for issues like it's 2 weeks or something, and you know the guys and you know how they work and everything, I think Telegram can work very well. And it's messy, but it's not like 100% messy. We know each other. I know exactly the mess Paolo is creating. So it's our mess. It's something we can manage. And also we pin stuff. Everything is important. We pin. If Paolo sends a lead I think is very good, I will pin myself to check it later. So it works. For short term, it works very well.
Yeah, you are the master of pins because you always
Yeah.
pin stuff. Maybe someone sends something and Guillermo is not even in the conversation, but he will pin it after so that no one forgets. So he's like the master of the manager of the pins.
Obviously, when folks see things like live hacking events, they see you guys winning these events. I think everybody is a bit, that could be me in the future. So for those who maybe are thinking about entering the Hacker Showdown next year, or maybe doing something like a bug bash, something where they might need to collaborate with others and use that, what one piece of advice would you give them to get to where you are now?
So I will say many people want to be in a life hacker event, but they have no idea the stress, pressure that life hacker event brings you because it's not the fact of being there. Being there is easy. You get one invite, you take the plane and you go. But it's not the point. The point, the competition is stressful. You need to be ready for that. So how you can be ready, right? I will say, especially when you see you in the leaderboard and you are in the top, the stress is more higher and you want to get higher, right? If you want to be in a life hacker event or win a competition like this, I will say you have to start by from competition. Any background is doing many of these. So anytime you see something, join. If you don't have three friends, join with you. Do whatever you have to do to participate and you will learn, but find the right people. So don't join a guy because he's your best friend, or don't join a guy because he's the best hacker in the world, right? You need to find the people that you feel good working with, right? Not only making jokes or memes or whatever. We do that a lot. And we don't focus in the money because we know money is coming, right? But find people you enjoy, you have something to offer. I will say that because usually we think, oh, this guy is good. I will join this guy, but that's not the point because maybe you have to think what you can offer and then you join a team.
It's like it has to be both ways. It can't be you using a more experienced hacker. You have to also bring something as well. Like, you
Yeah.
have to bring that skill, or you need to bring those leads or bring that as well. It can't just be somebody else mentoring you in this kind of environment.
I would say you need to find people that you're more or less on the same level with. Obviously, you need to work a lot, spend a lot of time together, but it can be like teacher teaching a student. You cannot just depend on your friends to teach you things. I'm not saying that you need to know about everything. Obviously, we don't. And many times, like these guys will just post something on Telegram, and I will be like, okay, I'll look that up and see what it is, because like you can never know everything. But I'm saying like you need to be at a level where you can just bring something to the table and not just be that weight that brings the team down. And I would say that's very important. And also what I mentioned earlier, that you need to have a good group dynamic and just work well together, not have clear roles in the group, but also make sure that your skills work well together and that
Yeah.
you can just help each other grow as a hacker, which is what we've managed to like create with the group. At the beginning, we just couldn't find that piece, but like now I think we're at the point where we can just like join a live hacking event, a competition, whatever, and work well because we know like how to proceed in a group. And I think that's very important, and it's not an easy thing to get to as a team. But once you get it, it's quite nice.
Yeah, it's getting away from that mentorship and more towards that kind of team dynamic.
Yeah, and helping each other grow as a hacker, I would say.
Think you really need to be like a sponge of knowledge, learn as much as possible, and like building your own like reputation. Be active on Twitter, maybe make some random GitHub projects, give feedback to platforms. There are multiple ways to like make yourself known to the community. Maybe go to Hacker Summer Camp, even if you are not invited to a live hacking event. There are like platforms, meetups that you can join and talk to people and collaborate, as the already said, with people on your level. If you want to have a collaboration with some of the top hunters, like you really have to bring something to the table, like really good bugs over time, constantly. So like they start trusting you. So it's all those things, like, and really studying and studying. It never stops, really, if you want to get the best at what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, the three of you. Congratulations on your win. I'm sure you are very happy about it. And it's really interesting to hear your perspective on collaboration and what that means. And I really hope that everyone listening today has got a lot out of that discussion, whether or not they're looking to maybe do some collab, maybe they're a bit wary about doing collab, or maybe they just want to meet more hackers that they can chat with about random memes or put a bunch of like memes into a Telegram chat with. But thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you everyone listening for watching. And I hope it was a useful video for you all. Bye everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.